need someone to talk to and you don't know what to do, call us 214-4400 when you're feeling all alone and they turn their back on you. Call us 214-4400. Call us 214-4400. Call us 214-4400. Call us.
You're listening to the Kind Counseling Podcast. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Now back to the show.
Welcome to the Kind Counseling Podcast. It's your girl, Dania Roberts. And of course, with me today is the host of hosts, Cammie Roberts, also known as Mr. Roberts, Dr. Cammie, Dr. Roberts, or just plain old Cammie. And we also have with us today our other co-host, Al Sue, aka Big Al, joining us all the way from VA. Yeah.
Hey. All right.
Once again, we are here to give insights, share information, and bring light to various topics that affect our communities at large. Kind counseling is a mental health practice that gives hope to the hopeless through mental health empowerment and spiritual insight. And as always, we have a great show for you today with very special guests. Let me introduce them. Tyi and Michael Simpson are the founders of the Blissfully Blended Academy and authors of the Blended Family Blueprint. I already like the sound of it. They are champions for thriving blended families, which many of our hearers and viewers can relate to. Both originally from Brooklyn, yay! Their love story blossomed from a simple workplace friendship to a profound partnership, which serves as the foundation for their own blended family. Their philosophy is that every blended family can radiate love, resilience, and harmony, and their work, both in their book and their academy, offers a compass for others on this unique journey. Let's welcome Tyi and Michael. Yeah.
All right. Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
How you guys doing today?
Good. We're doing okay. We're doing okay.
All right. So let me just jump in real quick. What inspired the book? What made you guys say, you know what, we need to do a blueprint? Where did that come from?
You want to take this? Go ahead.
So we started out we started out looking for, we wanted to write a book. And we, over the pandemic, like many people, you start thinking about different things that affect your life. You know, the view of life was so different during the pandemic. And we started writing about our love story. It was interesting because before we came up with the pieces of the story we started writing, we wrote the chapters. So we were able to write the chapters, and it was so clear what those chapters look like. And so we got with a mentor and pitched our ideas, and then we realized, like, this is more about the kids than about just us. It was about the whole family than just our love story. Like, it was so many parts. It's really, it's not us without them. Right. And so it was like, and it was kind of, it was interesting how everything just kind of started to come together. And we found, like, we didn't really have a focus group, but like our friends, our village, we kind of just talking to them. They were like, this is needed. This is needed in our community. Yeah. There's so many books for other people, but we don't have that many books written by us for us. So
okay.
Yeah. So it was a epiphany. Like we're trying to write our love story. And it was like, but we got a whole bunch of other things that will obviously be better for everyone else. That includes everybody else, and better for us. So it just worked out the way it worked out, and it came out to be better than we even thought it could be.
Okay. So my first question is Michael, right?
Sure.
All right, man. The elephant in the room is Tyi
I know what the question is.
Okay, so I don't know too many guys which says a lot about you, and it says a lot about her,
Right.
right? That you were willing to take on the responsibility of 5 children.
Listen, man, trust me, trust and believe. It was not to go from the bachelor life,
Right.
you know what I mean? But seeing her through the progression, because we work on the same job. And, you know, the Christmas time when you bring your kids to work day and all that kind of stuff, you know, you see things. And I'm like, you know, dad, she a good mom, but I wasn't thinking about raising those 5 children. You know what I mean?
Right.
At those times, again, I'm bachelor life party, I hang out, whatever the case may be. So at what point did I decide that? I couldn't tell you.
Well, in the book, you talked about like I think you canceled a date one time. Like, is that?
Yeah, it was a date with the kids.
Twice.
Yeah, it was to meet them.
I think we made it kind in the book and just said one.
Yeah, it was a couple times actually, but we kind of downplayed it. But yeah, it, you know, because I know, having, you know, seen the family members and have the man that comes over to visit your auntie or your cousin or your sister, and then they gone. I don't want to play with any children's, you know what I'm saying? Because they're still people as well. Right. So, you know, I don't want to play with their emotions. So I'm like, I'm not going to be too quick to jump into it if I know I'm not serious about the situation.
Yeah.
So I just.
So we kind of agreed like the first 2 years to kind of get to know each other, because I was coming out of divorce, and nobody gets married to get divorced. That's not the plan, right? That's not the plan. You don't go into it. And then I'm coming out of a divorce with more than 3 children. And so it's just like, you know, what happens next, right? Society tells you, nobody's going to want you. Nobody's going to want you with all of these children. Nobody, like, you know, you're kind of done. You know, life doesn't really have much to offer you after that. Society said it. My ex said it. And it was interesting because I wasn't looking for anybody to take, because I'm really capable of raising them. And I wasn't looking for anybody to take on the responsibility. I'm not a sharer of my responsibilities. I like to handle my stuff, and that's most women. You know, we can do it. We don't always want to do it, but we can if we have to. So when we started dating, it was just like, this is fun. Like, this is fun. And the family kind of rallied around, like, I'll watch the boys or I'll watch the girls. And so we were able to like travel and really date and get to know each other. Yeah. And then, you know, I set him up with a couple of questions. I was like, you know, he's ready. Trickery. And I asked, I was like, well, are you ready to meet the kids? And he was just like, no. And I was like, it's been 2 years. Like, what do you mean? When did you think this was going to come into play? You know? Yeah. And then that 3rd year was just a lot of trying to figure out what that looked like, and canceling dates, planning bowling and canceling, you know, he's like, I can't do it.
Not going to do it if I'm, you know what I mean? Because I've seen it happen.
Right.
Times. So I'm not gonna cross that line unless I'm ready. And I realize, you know, you're growing up and you're maturing and you're realizing things. And I'm like, I'm not gonna cross that boundary if I'm not ready and play with their emotions. So
So I want to ask the questions for the viewers and the listeners. So just to be clear, Tyi, you have 5 children.
Yes.
Okay. Michael, do you have any children?
Now we do. Now we have one together. So we have a total. Okay.
Okay.
But he didn't come into marriage.
He didn't come in with any. Okay. So I want to know, and for all our viewers and all our listeners, what was it that sealed the deal for you, that said, okay, this is something I'm going to go ahead and pursue. This is something I'm going to go into, even though there's 5 children to think about.
So,
I mean, Me.
Right. That was it.
Besides the obvious prize, right?
I mean, he's a Queens dude, and I'm a Brooklyn girl. It's just
It's just a
natural-
perfect match, right?
Right. But it was again the progression of life and going through the younger me. I was never even at that point thinking about it. So it was like, okay, I was looking to settle down, like at the end of the day, and it wasn't. I can't even again give you a date. Like it's like when you thought she was ready to be married. It's one of those questions. Like you can't pinpoint the time. It was something that clicked like 4 o'clock in the morning on September, whatever. It wasn't that like that. It was like, okay, I'm ready for whatever the next step is going to be. And, again, seeing how throughout those 2.5 and change years, seeing how she handled her household, I'm like, she's doing the daggone thing by herself.
Right.
I could step in here and not do nothing, right? No, it wasn't. It really wasn't that,
right?
But the honest transition was so smooth because of how that she ran the household already. That coming in was, So to answer your actual question, I can't give you a date, but it was a switch that went off one evening, and we had a conversation.
Okay. And tell us, how old were your children at that time?
Now you want us to do the math.
Yeah.
So
I'm not even gonna
Saray is 15. So she was when we started dating. She was one when we started dating. So the joke is, and we talked about this at the book launch. Well, actually, she talked about this at the book launch. She said, I forgot the question, and she said, well, I was the first to meet him because she couldn't talk.
Right.
So I would take her with me.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
She couldn't
go to the mall and get ice cream and stuff like that. She couldn't talk, so she ain't up. Who she telling?
Right. And she'll be like, I went with, and the kids are like, who? What? But so Saray was about 2 or 3.
5.
When we started dating, Jaden was 5.
2, 5.
And then that means Kai was about 8.
See, I was gonna say 9. See,
about 8 or 9.
9.
And then Jelani was
11ish, 10 or
11ish.
Yeah.
And then Imani was like 15.
15. Yeah.
And so it's interesting, right? Because the 2 girls got to meet him. So the baby, and then my 15-year-old, who was my road dog. Me and mommy rode together, and I was like, I want you to meet somebody. But she was kind of all for it. She always championed me, like, Mom, you need to do something for you. You always take care of us. Their father had moved on before we got divorced, before he had moved on, right? And so she was like, you're waiting for everything to be official, and you're trying to do everything the right way, and you just deserve to have like a good time. Like, you're always just taking care of us. And so she got to meet him early too. So yeah, it's kind of funny. The two girls got to.
And again, they met me officially. They knew me from work.
Right.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
He was Mr. Michael from, from
outside of the work setting, it was different. So that's the official meeting.
So Mr. Michael.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Michael, I have a question. So I have 3 children.
Right.
So my question is, did you get cold feet when you actually saw the grocery bill?
No. So you have to understand. I'm the smallest person in my house besides Tom.
Wow.
Okay. Boys is 6 and better, and they weigh size 15, 14, 13. I think I weigh like a 10 and a half. I'm just like, I think me and Natalia is the smallest feet in the house as well. So Bill, when we first, she was like, it was one of those things, right? So she's like, yeah, after tax time, I do this kind of shopping. I was like, kind of shopping? What are you talking about? We went to BJ's, and I don't know if it was like 4 carts.
Oh my God.
And so these are one of the things, right? So like once a year you stock up on. So the grocery bill, bro, it wasn't regular. That's just
Alan, that was something that I had created for myself. Like I'm not the, time, right? Time, money, energy. I don't like the phone calls like, Mom, we ran out of toothpaste. Mom, we ran out of toilet paper. So at tax time, I make it part of the bill, right? There's certain things that we pay for. So vacations, just intentional. Obviously you try to catch up on debt, but that's not always at the top of the list. Like there's some intentional things that require a lump sum of money. So we'll buy paper towels, bulk things, bulk toilet paper.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about it. Maybe around now, it'll be like, hey, we're running low. But for the most part,
at the end of the year,
it's not a thing that we're picking up all year. It's not it's just one less thing to think about. You're coming home from work and you get the call. Like, and I don't know where I got, like, it's just a thing for me. And then I guess being a single mom for a little bit, it was just not having time to stop. So it was things that are covered. So that was his first. And he was like, we're not doing this again. I was like, we are.
every year.
It's
become a thing.
So I'm curious. I'm very curious. How much paper towels would you need to buy for a family of 7 for a year, for almost a year? I'm just curious because I go through paper towels, and it's 4 of us. I go through paper towels like nothing.
So I would say that's the
before extreme couponing came out on television and people had their stockpile.
Wow.
It was, we had to go buy shelving from Home Depot.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But I mean, with the paper towel, the toilet paper more than the paper towel.
Really.
So like we do like 4 of the largest ones just to kind of get us through. And then when you notice you're down to 2, you kind of pick up 1, that kind of thing. So the paper towel wasn't as extreme as like the toilet paper, the toothpaste, soap, like bar soap, that kind of thing. Everybody's deodorant. Because boys, go through the deodorant so fast, using it, and when they're losing it because they don't always use it.
The last one went, and so, you got lock stuff up now because they see it, so they use one time and like you got more. So I'm like, bro, how are we going to do deodorant crazy? Like, calm down.
Yeah. Got a ration.
Got a ration.
Right. It's a process. It was a process.
Wow.
Alan, that was a good question though, because that
so you must be super organized then, Tyi.
Yeah.
We try to be.
Yeah.
There's days when it's easier and days when some days it's just like, and we thought it was so much harder. We thought it was hard when they were younger. It is so much harder with them being mini adults, teenagers trying to be adults.
Worse.
They know the things. It's so much worse.
Yeah.
Like, they're all over the place, but one day at a time.
One day at a time.
Well, I had another question. So I think for a lot of men, like the fear is like, well, what happens if the kid says, well, I ain't his daddy, right? Like, did you ever have that moment, Mike, where like one of the kids said, you can't correct me or you can't discipline me or check me?
To this day, I still think about it, but I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, that would be a thing for me, for anybody, you know what I mean, coming in. So it became a time where she was always bad mom, bad parent. I'm good dad, cool dad, or whatever, because I would not discipline.
Bad cop, good cop.
Yeah, bad cop, good cop. Because I wouldn't discipline, because I leave it up to her, because I didn't want that to happen. And it became a thing where I'm like, we had a conversation. It's like, I can't be the bad guy all the time, right? So we had that. I was like, okay, pull my pants up, you know what I'm saying? Tighten my belt. I gotta, have, and if it happens, we'll have like a different conversation.
Right.
God, knock on wood, that never happened. It was kind of a smooth transition. There was a little friction. We knew with conversation which child would be the one for the push. And it's in the book as well.
I told them which kid.
She gave me everybody. Personality, everything. One by one. Everything. She knows the kids back and forth, hands down. So the one that she said would give the pushback did, but it wasn't to that extent.
No.
At all. Nowhere near it. So it always was in my mind. Definitely.
He said it to his brother once, but he didn't say it. He didn't say it to him.
Yeah.
He said it to his brother,
Yeah.
like, you know, the older brother, Jelani is very like respectful. He's very, he's very, we call, so we talk about our superpowers in the house.
Yeah.
And like that's one of our round table discussions. And we ask them what they think their superpowers are, and what do they think each other's superpowers are, and then ask us what do we think, right? And so Jelani's superpower is being a big brother.
Yeah.
And that was around the table. Like everybody had the same thing like written down. He is the epitome of what you would want your son to be for a big brother. Like, and sometimes it worries me because it's like too much pressure. But he handles it like
smooth.
He's just, you know, so it was a situation with him and his brother, and he kind of was just like, you know, our dad is picking us up from the camp bus, and Kai is like, that's not our dad. Like, and Jelani was like, he grabbed him by his collar. He was like, he said, that's mommy's boyfriend. And he was like, it's the dad that we have. It's the dad who takes care of us. And it's the dad who's coming to pick us up. He was like, and if I say it again, it's going to be a problem.
Wow.
And that story didn't come out 2 years later. We found that out. That happened. And I was like, oh yeah, boy. Like,
that's good.
But that's as far as that went.
So was that hard, like switching up your whole schedule? I know you said you were like a bachelor, and I know how kids are going to events, going here, going to there. Was that rough when you had to kind of switch up your schedule to adapt to, you know, everything that they had going on?
See the face? So once I did actually move in, we lived in Queens. They moved to Queens, and they were going to, they're all in charter schools in Brooklyn. So she wake up at the crack of crack to drive them to Brooklyn, to then drop babysitter, train station, park. She goes to work to do the same thing in the evening. So when I first moved in, I'm like, oh, she got it. I'm gonna lay back, sleep till 8, 7, go hop on the train. Come on, we're going to the same job, right? So after a couple of months of that, she was like, bruh, like what are we doing? Like,
it took me a while because I was like, you know, these kids are not his responsibility, right? They are. But it was trying to figure out how to have that conversation. And he's not a morning person. I am a morning person. Couldn't be up till 3 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm in bed by 9. So it was things that, you know, kind of in the morning I'm up and I'm moving. And then when he did help, he was so it was like, I got this. Please go back to sleep. Right. So it was, you know, but it took about a year of him after he moved in before he kind of was like, I need to, you know, and then we were able to have a conversation. I need some support. So I'm exhausted.
It started with the morning, and then like you were saying, the basketball, the football, the weekends, and all of that. So I went from getting up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, long Friday night, go get some food and go back to sleep. No. Wow. Now it was 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. I'm like, bro, what is life going on with right now? Like,
and now he's up with a Saturday before me.
Making breakfast for everybody, right?
Oh, he's up doing the thing. I remember the first time he had to go to honor roll breakfast.
Oh, wow.
So at the charter schools, the kids were going to charter school down in Williamsburg, and so like he said, we driving from Queens, so it's like 6:15. You had to be at the breakfast at 7:15 because they did it in the morning before parents went to work. And he was like, I was like, well, I got who's on first base, who's on second base, you got, and he was like, what are we doing at the breakfast? I was like, nothing. You showing up, they give you a donut and a cup of orange juice,
right?
Just to know that you're there, and your son needs somebody to be there with
him.
And he was like, so what happens if I don't go? And I was like,
not an option.
Tell me nothing.
Yeah, nothing but everything. You going, right? And so it was, you know, and then after he went, we kind of, you know, I did with 2 children, and then he took Jay, and by the time we got to work, he was like, that was kind of dope. Like,
It was cool.
watching
Like,
him get his accolades and watching him and, you know, him looking back and I was there and, you know, to give him the like, and he was like, that was kind of cool. And I was like, you got something from it too. Like, you know, after that, I was like, oh, I'm going to the honor roll breakfast. He was like, oh,
I got this.
I'm going to the honor roll breakfast.
Yeah, I get that donut, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I had just as a therapist, obviously I hear a lot of horror stories about step parents and that whole transition, and even in the media, right? It's like it's portrayed almost like negative. And but in the book, you guys use the term bonus parent, where I've never heard before, and you cast it in such a positive light, and I never thought about it before, where you actually get extra parents as opposed to
Right.
one parent. You know what I mean?
Right.
So could you? Did you coin that phrase, or you heard that somewhere? Or
So
the bonus
our
parent.
goal is
Okay.
to coin the phrase.
Absolutely.
But it's something that was important to me. When I was the bonus parent in my past relationship with our oldest, with Imani, it was important to me. Like, I grew up in a family with a bonus dad, and everybody's like, oh, your stepdad. But even like back to like Cinderella, like step just always had a bad connotation.
Right.
It's something about that term that makes people like
step.
Kind of but bonus just always felt it's an addition,
Extra,
right? It literally means addition. And so I would always be like, no, I'm her bonus mom. You know, I'm not trying to replace her mom. I'm not stepping in. I'm an addition to. And so when we got together, you know, I would say to him always, like, you're a bonus, like you are an addition to us. It is not. And even when we were having help with our mentors writing the book, they were like, oh, well, you know, it's better kind of if you stick to the terms that people already know. And we were like,
trying to change the narrative.
No,
right.
The goal is to change the narrative.
Words mean things. So the
Right.
wording could let everybody, you don't have to be a step. Bonus.
Right.
Everything we just said is what a bonus is. So why not?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what I love about that too, step versus bonus, like when I think of step parent, I always think of like an adult that marries your parent, but they're mean to you, or they don't
exactly.
love the way that they might love their own children, you know. And I know people who have had step parents and have had that part of the story, but bonus just makes it sound so much like you think about like I'm getting a bonus at work. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Right.
Parent. Yeah. So I definitely like the play on words with that, because it just makes it more welcoming.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys need to trademark that. I like that.
Go for it. We going for it.
Trying.
I still like the grocery idea. I'm thinking about using that one for real.
Thank you. Listen,
that's actually good. I might try doing that.
It really is good. And you have to, I mean, not to get too far into it, but you have to see like the things that your family needs the most.
The essential,
the essential things, like I said, like the deodorants, like whatever deodorant they use, you know, it's that kind of lotion. It's just the things that I just don't want to get a call for. Mommy, can you stop on the way home and get no. And then we still would do grocery. But those were the big things at that time of the year. Like just the top of the year, don't worry about it no more.
Get it out the way.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, when you guys had a question, I was gonna jump in again. Okay, all right. So you guys also mentioned, I mean, like obviously, you know, I'm a therapist, right? And I thought that this book, in terms of how you wrote it, like I felt like it was beneficial to all families, like in general, like especially when you talked about like a vision and a mission statement for a family. I thought that was really powerful, right? In the sense that you know that everybody is on the same page and we got a goal that we're all shooting for, right? That's something that you don't hear a lot. And if you guys could just talk a little bit about that, because I thought that was very important.
So we've had people that read the book, right? Different aspects, and the same thing you just said, in writing it, we didn't realize that the book is not just for bonus parents, it's for all parents, just because of we put our personal stories in it and broke down situations that you didn't have to be a bonus parent to go through the situation. Finances, everybody goes through it in every household. Religion, you know what I mean? So at the end of when we actually sat back and looked at it, we're like, this book is not just for bonus parents and bonus children. Anybody could grab a gem or two out of it and be useful to them.
And then just to add to that, like love and respect are
universal.
What should be universal.
Should.
Universal. Inclusivity should be universal in every household, especially when you have a household that has more than one child. Inclusivity is important. There's so many levels to, my mom often says, like, I don't know where you got your parenting from. She's like, you don't parent like I parent. And I just, with things with life, I'm just really intentional. I try to be as much, no, I am far from perfect, but I try to be very intentional, and getting to know the kids is important to me. One of the things we talk about in the book is growing up West Indian.
I was gonna go there.
He was going there. Going there.
That was my next question.
You know, seen and not heard is
what's a thing.
Yeah,
we knew. You know, is what, and that is one of like the common things for us, that we realized early on. Like it's a little easier because it's a language.
Yeah.
There's a language to, you know, the foolishness that we sometimes endure as children of West Indian parents, and we love them.
Yeah.
We honor them always. And you know, we make them laugh. My mother dies laughing at the things, and she's like, "I said that. You know, I did that." You did. You're traumatized.
They deny it. They deny it.
But inclusivity is really important because children, you know, we bring them into this world, but they don't belong to us. You know, God allowed you to bring them through you, but they're not a thing. They don't belong to you. So getting to see who they are and trying to cultivate that. And yes, there are things, I'm sure that all of them have other stories, right? About us as parents, about me as a parent, about him as a parent, that children are going to say, and feel they're people, right? And so, but the intention, I would lead with intention. Once you lead with intention, and I know that my intention was pure, what happens after that? You know, what I said versus what you heard it's not something I can control. But I also know that if my intention is pure, as long as we are trying to make sure everybody is, the idea is to cultivate a space where everybody is included. And if that's our mission together, then it should translate. Usually we get a really good response from our feedback about our kids from everywhere. We got one firecracker. I'm not gonna mention any names.
It's always one of the bunch.
We got one firecracker, but you know, they still.
I just wanted to ask a question because you said something that kind of really stuck out to me. So as far as learning, so you guys have 6, right? If I understand,
3 boys and 3 girls.
Okay, so and you said, and I heard your husband also say that you know their personalities, right? You know each one's personality, and that's a beautiful thing because, as you said, growing up West Indian, there's a lot of things that you have to put up with and deal with growing up, and we love our parents, and we understand that they did a lot of things that they just were not aware of or were ignorant about it. So one of the things that I always heard growing up, I'm the youngest of 3 girls, and my dad used to kind of always say, "You're all the same." He would say that to us. And I remember as a child thinking to myself, no, we're not all the same. We're very different. So
and yet you married her. So clearly you're crazy about her.
So I wanted to ask the question, like, what kinds of things, because, you know, with 6 children, I could imagine that there's time constraints, You know, it's hard
Right.
to kind of meet everybody's need all the time, but what kind of things do you do to get to know your children individually? Like, do you spend time with them one-on-one, or do you have like family discussions where they have the opportunity to share, which is also something that West Indian culture doesn't allow, you know? But so you can speak to that a little bit, because I'm real curious about it.
So for me, it would be we do movie nights. We have done, you know, every Sunday we was doing like meditation and family meetings and stuff like that. But for me, it'll be the ride to, because, you know, scheduling. It'll be the ride driving to football practice, and just me and you in the car. We're not gonna say it silent. So, you know, little questions, and, you know, they're kids, so they open up a little bit and give you a little bit more every conversation. So that was my way of doing it. Mom, you know, had her own way again. Like I said, we have the meetings, we had the family meetings, we did the movie nights, and then we had the F books.
Yes.
So there's some F books, that bunch of questions, when we go on vacations, you know, and read a question, next person, everybody answer the question, pass it around. So different tools that my wonderful wife showed and, you know, found that we would use. And
yeah, the If books were big.
Huge.
There's these books. Someone introduced me to them. I think it was a coworker, maybe about 15, 17 years ago, and they asked questions like, if you could go back in history and have dinner with a famous person, who would it be?
Right.
And when you listen, and this is a good for adults. We do this with like couples, like a couples situation. But when you hear what your kid says, it allows you to tap into where their thought process is.
Right.
And so it's like, well, why would you have dinner with that person? You know, and then you kind of have them explain, like, as opposed to somebody else, or why would you, you know, choose to do that? And then there's like devious questions, right? And it's like, if you could have something bad happen to a person that you don't like every day, what would that thing be? And you're like, you know, and depending on what your kid says, you're like, "Ooh, I didn't know my kid would think that." You know,
why like that one to say that?
You know, but we have stuff like his is what was yours? Have their check engine light come on every day. You know how irritating that can be. Like, you know, stuff. But it gives you a thing into how their brains work. The other thing was the vision boards. The vision boards were huge in learning about. Girl, I tell you, I did not know. Like, we had one who was like, he wanted to do adventure. He wanted to travel the world.
Everywhere.
He wanted to get like a Dodge Charger and a dog. And just drive.
He saw the Will Smith movie, right?
Visit different states and I was like, and then we had the one we call the doctor. He's the youngest of the boys. He was like, he wants to travel the world, and like he wants to go skiing and jet skiing and bungee jumping, and he wants to jump off mountains, and he wants to ski and jump out of airplanes. And we were like, what? Like, he's so quiet. So just little things. But an early thing that I did before we got together that I noticed worked with my oldest, with my daughter, is that when we're in the car, music. The way I would teach her about relationships and boys was, you know, we would listen to a song and you singing the lyrics, and then you're singing the lyrics.
Right.
But it's when she's singing lyrics and when I'm singing the lyrics, because it's like, well, why are you singing that? What you know about what you don't know. And I'd say, do you think that's real? Do you think that she's really going to do that? Or do you think that he's really going to do that? And then we would get into this whole discussion about the song, but now we're talking about relationships, right? And just kind of seeing where her mind is. So it worked with her. So I tried it with my son. And I tried it with the other son. It worked for those three. The younger three, they could really kill us. They're like, what? So you try different things that works, but that was big for me. So similarly in the car, like there's a lot of conversation, a lot of time that we spend going back and forth.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
So in writing the book, what was the hardest part or what was your roadblocks when you were trying to put it all together? I always ask people that have done books, like, what was the hardest part of, you know, actually getting it out?
Putting your personal life.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Because
mm.
I'm super private. I'm hands down private. So we have all the facts and the you know the specs and about blended families and that.
Right.
So, but you still have to make it personable so somebody can relate and want to read the book.
Right. Right.
So we got to put our personal. So I'm like,
Right.
so we went back and forth. So that was kind of the last steps. We did the book kind of backwards. We ended up having personal stories that begins the chapters.
Right.
We did it last when we were doing the book because I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing it. Like we could just put the stats out
when
there.
we read it, it didn't feel like us.
It didn't feel warm.
Like when you know when it's all put together, it didn't feel warm.
But
and we're extremely warm people, and we like warm things. Like the color of the book is warm. Like it's intentional. And but the vulnerability was definitely the hardest part. That is
yes.
And you see our 6 puzzle pieces coming down. That's
right. Oh wow! All right now.
Yeah.
Were there any stories got pulled out of it at the last minute? Like, nah, we need to take that out.
Tweaked. We tweaked a couple of stories, yeah, a little bit. I mean, you know, no, not pulled out. Like I said, tweaked.
So currently, you know, full transparency. In the beginning of the book, we talk about they're like with Imani. We have not spoken to her in maybe 2 years. Yeah. I think it's been to December will be 2 years, like right before the pandemic. So it's maybe 3 years this year.
Yeah, 3 years.
Her and I got into a huge disagreement. And, you know, two women in the house. She was 25 at the time, and yeah, it wasn't, you know, love and disrespect.
Right.
Love is not enough, right? There's some other things that have to happen.
Right.
And so the clarity is like part of adulting is knowing how to have a conversation, right?
Right.
So the space is open, it's always open for her to come home and have a conversation. But adulting, right? Because I've gone after her before to make when she's younger to kind of, you know, reel her back in.
Right.
But, as an adult, you make certain decisions and you got to stand on them. And you have, you know, you use certain language and you have to use adult language in order to have adult conversation. So, Alan, when you asked about stories, like we had more stories that included her that we wanted to share, that we kind of pulled back because out of respect, right? Also because like not getting her permission or that kind of, she's an adult. And so we shared in the things that were our story where she was included. But not her stories.
Right.
So if that makes sense. Yeah. So she's coming around. She's coming around. Even Skylar's you know, spirit always like lets you know when things are coming. And
she called us, by the way, about a month and a half or 2 months ago. She called what she's about to say right now.
So I was like, oh, she's getting closer, right, to coming home and just to having a conversation. And Skylar started saying, well, where's my sister? There's pictures in the house. So Skylar has never asked about her.
Ever.
But in the last like 6 weeks, she's like, I want to see my sister. Why don't I get to meet my sister? I miss my sister. And she talks to her. They have a relationship. The older siblings that have phones, right? But Skylar does not have a phone and probably will never get one if I can do it. But so I just feel in my spirit that she'll be 30 in January. I miss my kid, but I'm also clear that this time she has to step out She had, you can't keep, if you keep saving them, they just don't get the, and it's not easy, but if you keep throwing the line out, you know.
They don't ever get it. Yeah.
No. So I just wanted, you know, to be transparent about that.
Okay. Now, Tyi, I know that you guys are on a tight time schedule here, but
We're not. You got canceled.
No, we're
oh, okay, all right, okay, cool. All right, so I first of all, you're a great mom. Okay, let me say that you're a great mom.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to ask you was because I work with a lot of single mothers, and you know, and also just know single mothers also, and they've said to me like, well, who would want to date me and I have kids, and the feeling is almost like they're not who would want me. So what would you say to the single mother? What would you say? That's all you're saying.
The proof right here. No, okay.
Words of encouragement.
I mean-
Peter Michael, right?
I mean, you can't have them.
It's the best thing.
You can't have them.
Peter Michael.
Yeah.
But what I would say is,
Get you one.
you're so silly. What would I say? It sounds so redundant, but lead with your intentions. When you know that your intentions are true and pure. My intentions were to not have my kids around a bunch of people, to introduce them to a bunch of people. I also was not looking for a relationship.
Okay.
I don't even know. We still don't even know how this happened.
Okay.
Really, we joke about it, but we worked together for 20 years. I can't tell you if I ever rode the elevator with him before I actually saw him. Like, right, I could see him, but I actually started like, there's something about this guy, and we worked in the same department, and we dated almost 3 years before anybody knew that we were dating.
Wow.
You know, you come back on Monday, I come back on Tuesday. But what I would say is that it's possible to a single mom is that it's possible. Show up as your authentic self. Don't be anybody, and that's like those kind of things have become cliche, but I just wish that they weren't. You know, I wish that people could receive them in a manner in which it's the truth. Show up as your authentic self. Sending your representative is never good. One of the things that I often tell my husband is thank you for loving me for me, because in a prior relationship, right, I was told like, oh, you're so strong, but yet you're over here crying. But people who are strong cry. And then abusive form that just took on a lot of abuse, and it, you know, then you don't know who you are. And find out for single moms, right? Find out who you are, show up as your authentic self when you are looking for a relationship, and you will meet somebody as your authentic self. Don't introduce your kids to a lot of people, because it's heartbreak for you, there's heartbreak for them, there's heartbreak for the other person. Right. One of the things that Michael didn't say in the beginning was that when he was explaining about the kids not like him walking out of their life or us not being together, was what he expressed was, I don't want to get attached to them. And you walk away from me because then you have them and I have nothing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, like, okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Show up authentically, and have a friend more than jumping into a relationship, but get to know the person. Like things about him. I tell him all the time. One, the growing up West Indian thing. We just had there was things that we would say and die laughing because it's a common ground. Stand on common ground, find common ground. I used to go to church all the time. My bonus father was a pastor. Michael went to church when he was younger, but we laugh because he would make the kids say their grace faster than I would. So it's like, you know, that list, when they say women have a list and men have a list, and
Right.
I always tell him I don't date light-skinned men. And he always go, no, you can't do
But
that.
that was
I'm
like a
just saying,
strange guy.
right?
What's
It's
up?
just the thing. He goes, no, you don't date them, you marry them, right? And I'm like,
Oh, okay. Yeah, you cleaned it up. You cleaned it up.
Yeah.
Right.
so I mean,
It's like,
you
what's
know,
up with this trays?
Thing. It's another thing.
just going back to like your list and your and just be who you are. Like be who you are, and all the past stuff doesn't define you. That would make me cry. Someone. That stuff doesn't define you. It doesn't mean that because somebody else said it about you that it's true.
Yeah.
You have to really dig in and get counseling if you need it.
Yeah.
And love on you and love on your kids.
Yeah.
And the other stuff will come.
Yeah.
Amen. 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 Wow.
And I think it's beautiful too, Tyi, that, you know, you remained open. You know, sometimes as single mothers, they can go through bad relationships and become bitter. And that will also make it difficult for the man that is out there for you to even see you. Because you're, you know, like this angry person walking around with a chip on your shoulder, and every man is, you know, whatever, low down, dirty, whatever.
Right.
And you know, you pass up the opportunity to really have somebody in your life that will really love on you the way the person before did not. So, you know, kudos to you guys. Kudos to you guys. It's a really beautiful story.
Yes.
It's a beautiful love story, and it's a beautiful family story. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all got to make a movie out of this, man. This is great.
Everything is possible.
Yeah, that's right.
You get to be a part of it. You know, you had a role. So you get to be a part of it.
So let me just for our audience, if people want to pick this book up, and I highly recommend it, where can people get this book?
So
we are available Amazon, Walmart, Barnes and Nobles, and a couple of other small bookstores. If you Google it, or everything will pop up. It's at least 5 shops online that you could purchase it.
Yeah, we're still working on some of the bigger vendors, but I got excited, and because it just happened this week with like Barnes and Nobles and Walmart, so I was really excited.
Oh, wow. That's great.
I was really excited. Yes. So far, like the way they start you out, like kind of online, and then you, as it picks up, then they go into stores, but it's available right now on BarnesandNobles.com and Walmart.com and Amazon. And our website,
and our website. Go to our website.
What's the website?
BlendedFamilyBlueprint.com.
Okay, BlendedFamiliesBlueprint.com.
Yep, just the name of the book.com.
Yeah, I mean, just last thing I'm going to say is also is like because of why this book is so necessary. Also is because there's a high divorce rate, you know, and in America, and also there's a high rate of single parents in the Black community. So I think this book is very needed. Right, you know,
it's possible.
Get this book, y'all.
It's possible. We just want people to know it's possible. It's possible to be good. It's possible to be great. It's possible to be not effortless, because everything takes effort. But it is possible. And know the person that you're dating, and know your children. Know your children. My girlfriends have said, I can't get my one son to like somebody I bring home. It's like, well, know about your son before you bring them home. And then know, you know, so it's possible though.
Alleviate the headache. Yeah.
It's possible. It's possible to have a blissfully blended family.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, we gotta clone you, my brother.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, that's what I heard.
Nope.
She's like, stop playing.
Clone Mike.
You'll still have the original. So.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. A designer's original.
Right.
Designer's original, and I am grateful.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, listen. You know, we just want to thank you guys for coming on. You know, great story, and you guys are funny. You can tell you guys are friends, like the way you interact with each other.
Energy is amazing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. Thank you
Yes.
all for having us. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
This was awesome.
Yes, and listen, you know, like I said, we wish you guys the best in terms of how the book goes, and you know, hopefully this goes into bigger things besides the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coming soon. The Academy is almost up. We'll email you all the like the website information for the Academy and the ebooks.
Okay.
We're gonna do workshops and lives.
Good.
The goal is to like have a forum. Where people just can know, you know, as a therapist, like as where you're not by yourself. Your story is more common than, you know,
Yeah.
also just reminding people it's possible. It's
Yeah.
possible. Like it's possible.
All right.
You
So,
guys are
so we thank you guys again, and
Thank you.
thanks so much.
All right, y'all have a good night.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
If I ever took a loss, I learned a lesson. I won't ever think I'm better than the next man. I've been down before to come up, I ain't stressing. Baby, I'm too busy counting.